I'm Dave Kluge with Football Guys, and today we are going to discuss 3 players that you need to be trading for right now in your fantasy football leagues. Now, I've been doing this video for a few weeks now, and I've gotten a little bit of pushback because some of the players that I'm talking about are players that are trending up. It is ingrained in our minds that we should be buying low and selling high on players, but I think that's a little bit too archaic. Everybody is playing that game, and I think that there is a huge edge to be had if you go out and actually buy high on players who are trending up. Last week I talked about Chris Olave, and a lot of people in the replies pointed out that Chris Olave's value was peaking, and it was a terrible time to buy him, but I see Chris Olave as a top 24 receiver for the rest of the season, so if you can get him for anything cheaper than that, it's a win in my book. And today I'm going to talk about 3 players who are getting hot right now that I think you should still go out and try to acquire on the trade market. If you have not already, be sure to subscribe right down below at youtube.com/footballguys. We're bringing you these short videos almost every single day. We've also got all of our full-length shows like the Audible, the Launchpad, the Mailbag Show, and so much more. youtube.com/footballguys. Be sure to subscribe right here. Now let's go ahead and dive right in, talking about 3 players that you should be going out and trying to acquire right now in your fantasy football league. First guy I want to talk about is J.K. Dobbins, and boy, oh boy, how quick we are to forget. Just 2 years ago, we were talking about J.K. Dobbins in the same conversations as Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift as one of the most explosive young running backs in the league, and then a brutal knee injury derailed his sophomore campaign, and we all just seemingly forgot how good this guy is. On Sunday, he exploded for 22.3 PPR points. Now that outing was bolstered by 2 goal line touches, but this is also a sign of things to come. Most injury experts said that it would take about 4 weeks for him to get slowly ramped up to speed to a full workload. Well, just in his second week, he had already outtouched Justice Hill, he outsnapped him, he got the goal line work, and he saw 4 targets, which tied his career high. Now, if you recall, last year, Gus Edwards tore his ACL about 2 weeks after J.K. Dobbins did, and Gus Edwards should be returning to practice soon, but he is now 27 years old, and I'm not sure if his recovery is going to be as seamless as J.K. Dobbins is. Because of that looming return for Gus Edwards, there could still be an opportunity to buy low on J.K. Dobbins. The Baltimore Ravens have one of the most explosive offenses in the league. They love to lean on the run. We see J.K. Dobbins now getting a little bit more involved in the passing game after we saw shades of that last year with Devonta Freeman. Going forward, I have no qualms with ranking J.K. Dobbins as a top 20 running back. If you can flip a wide receiver 2 or another running back 2 for J.K. Dobbins, I see that as a huge upgrade. This is one of the most electric young running backs in the league on a run-first offense who should amass a ton of fantasy points. The next guy I want to talk about is a guy that I've been hyping up all offseason, and he finally showed what he's capable of last week. George Pickens had his first 100-yard game of his career, and as a matter of fact, it was the first 100 receiving yard game that anybody in Pittsburgh has produced this year. Now, I know what you might be thinking, it's one half of football. We can't read too much into it. But you got to remember, at halftime, Mike Tomlin finally made that switch. He pulled Mitch Trubisky, put Kenny Pickett in, and that was great news for George Pickens. Through the first 3.5 weeks, Mitch Trubisky's average depth of target was 10.1 yards. When Kenny Pickett came in, he boosted that up to 13.2. With Mitch Trubisky under center, George Pickens was pulling a 12.5% target share, which is pretty awful. When Pickett was on the field for the second half of Week 4's game, George Pickens saw 35.7% of the team's targets. So not only is he throwing the ball further downfield, but he's also targeting George Pickens at a much higher rate. We know who George Pickens is at this point. At the end of his sophomore year in Georgia, he blew up in the final 2 games and was immediately crowned a first-round draft pick. And then an ACL tear and some character concerns caused him to slide a little bit in the draft, but it looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers got a steal in round 2 with Pickens. At 6'3" and with 4.4 speed, George Pickens also excels at contested catches. He has all of the makings to be an elite alpha wide receiver 1 in this league. If he's on waivers for whatever reason, drop what you're doing and pick him up immediately. And if somebody already has him rostered, throw some trade offers out there. Somebody might think that they're selling high on George Pickens, who just had his first good game of his career, when in reality, this is actually a sign of things to come, and he could very likely be the Steelers wide receiver 1 for the rest of the season. The last guy I want to talk about feels like a layup. We should have seen this coming. Zach Ertz has done nothing but provide top 5 fantasy numbers for tight ends. Dating back to 2017, there's only been 1 year where he hasn't finished in the top 5, and that was 2020 where he was dealing with injuries. Now he is 4th among all tight ends in targets. He is 4th in scoring among tight ends, and there might be an opportunity to buy low on him. When you look at his splits from last year with DeAndre Hopkins, they were a little bit underwhelming, and because of DeAndre Hopkins coming back into the fold within the next few weeks, people think that they have an opportunity to sell high on Zach Ertz. For me, I'm okay buying high on Zach Ertz. I think he is going to give us another top 5 season. Last year, from the time that he joined the Arizona Cardinals until the end of the season, he was 4th in targets and finished as the tight end 4, which is exactly what he's doing again right now. Zach Ertz is getting up there in age, but believe it or not, he's actually still younger than Travis Kelce. Now, this isn't the same Zach Ertz that we saw from 2016 to 2018, who had 8 100-yard games over that 3-year stretch. He doesn't possess that type of elite ceiling anymore, but he has become the safety valve for Kyler Murray. He excels at getting open in the short to intermediate parts of the field where Kyler Murray can use him as his safety valve. Now, we know who Zach Ertz is. He isn't going to be racking up a ton of yards after the catch. He isn't breaking tackles. He doesn't have elite size. He doesn't have elite speed, but he's going to see somewhere between 6 to 8 targets every single week. Zach Ertz has caught 6 or more balls in 3 consecutive weeks now, and that should be the theme going forward. Let's face it, tight ends have been a little bit of a crapshoot this year. If you don't want to stream tight ends, go out and trade for Zach Ertz because he is a plug-and-play tight end. He has finished top 12 or better every single week so far this year, and I don't expect that to change. Thank you so much for checking this video out. As I said at the beginning, I take a different approach to trade negotiations. I think there's so much more nuance to trading than just buying low and selling high. So while these players are certainly trending up right now, I think that you should buy them because there is still so much more to their value that they can grow. As always, be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/footballguys. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video and drop a reply below if you have anything to add. Drop me a follow on Twitter at Dave Kluge, that's Kluge, and follow Football Guys on Twitter at Football Guys. Thank you so much for checking this video out, and I will see you next week.